Okay, hi everybody. This is Rew Payne, and I am going to be teaching you how to make a light box, and then preceding classes, how to use the light box, how to take pictures with your cell phone, and then how to edit those photos. So this way you can take your little danglies that you make and your pottery that you make and other wonderful things that you make and be able to photograph those really well for websites, for your whatever you need to do. So to get started, what you're going to need, and a lot of these things you can get at the Dollar Tree. You're going to need a piece of poster board. You're going to need 5 sheets of foam core, 5. Since I got it at the Dollar Tree, you can see that's pretty cheap. I've already cut down some of them, but I was gonna wait to do the last one with you guys. So they come really, really big, and you don't want a light box this big. But this is really, as you see, kind of big. So I like a decent size light box in general, but you can make them whatever size you want. I'm gonna make this one 20 inches. And it's by 20 by 36 inches here, or not 36. It's 20 by 20 actually. Yeah, it's 20 by 20. So a nice little square box. I'm just gonna cut that. I also got these box cutter. This was also the Dollar Tree. You should be able to actually do this all for like under, I would say under $30. Usually it used to be under like $20, but the price of getting lamps and stuff has kind of gone up. Depends on where you can source lamps. So I did not cut that all the way through. You need that cut all the way through. Let's not cut my fingers off.
Good idea.
Okay, one second. There we go. Save these, do not get rid of those. You'll need them later. So now I have a nice square. I would like to be able to see through this square. So I'm going to be making this 2 inches by 2 inches around inside the square. So I measure out 10, also Dollar Tree. So I already have, because I'm using this, I know where my 2 inches is, so I can. And it doesn't have to be exactly perfect because nobody's going to be seeing this but you, which is nice. So if it's a little wonky or if it's goes kind of off a little bit, it's not that, because what you're doing is you're creating a window for your light of diffusing. You just bring your, so now I've drawn it all out. And cut, with the cutting, you don't really want to go too far in, like I already kind of went just 1/4 of an inch in, make my cut mark, but really you don't want to go too far in if you can. You're only going to do this to 3 of your squares. The reason being is you're only going to do your 2 sides and your top. You're not going to do your bottom or your back. Paper is kind of messy. You can just kind of, you don't want the paper to rip. I mean, it can, but you really don't want it to. You can, she rips the paper. There we go.
It's good of you to give us examples on, you know, how things can go.
How things can go, yeah. So don't worry if you have like little edges like that, does not need to be perfect. That's kind of a. Okay, so this is your standard tissue paper that you get at the Dollar Tree. You can also use wax paper, or you can use parchment paper, though I don't like parchment paper because it's a little on the orange side. I tend to try to use fine papers that are whiter because that'll give you that white, bright look. Now my paper is a little bit too big for the square, so I'm going to cut it down.
So this is tissue paper like you would find for wrapping gifts, correct?
Exactly. Let me show you the example. There we go.
Move closer.
Gift tissue paper.
Awesome.
It was $1. It's great. Also, if you mess up on it, you get 20 sheets. You can just keep going. If you want your diffusing a little bit thicker, you can use 2 or 3 sheets. Different brands will actually have thicker tissue. Or if you want to replace your tissue and you want colored, so you want to do like one side red, or one side green, or one side blue to give you that two-tone effect with your photography, like the fancy magazines, you can do that by just adding a colored tissue and taking that tissue off. So I still have left 1 inch all the way around, so I can tape it down. And so this is what we're going to do. And this is just regular gift wrapping.
What some of us might call Scotch tape if we were into name brands.
Scotch tape, yes. I think this is actually even name brand Scotch tape. But just gift wrap tape. Clear works the best. You really don't want a colored tape. I mean, you can use painter's tape if you were like desperate.
Could you glue it down instead of tape it?
You can, but the paper doesn't last a long time.
Okay.
It's very fragile, so it will come off. And if you're gluing it down, I would say use the like school glue.
Elmer's glue?
Yeah, that just with the stick glue.
Okay.
You could stick glue it. But yeah, regular white glue would work just fine. The key though is you probably want to make it a little bit more because it's going to wrinkle. And the key is you don't want too much of that. Like the natural wrinkles in the paper are fine, but so there is a diffused sheet. As you see, and this is like a dark, so you can't see in there. But here is a light. You see it's creating an effect there. And that's what we want. So now I have one of those. Put the paper away. Here are my other sides. Here is my back and my bottom. So we are going to assemble this real quick here. So for this, I use a bigger piece of Scotch tape or white duct tape. Not regular duct tape, white. Because you don't want anything showing on the inside of your box.
Presumably that'll make shadows.
Right. And it'll show up and then you have to edit them out, and that sucks. I'm trying to eliminate editing by doing this. So I do it on the inside because I want to be able to fold it. So if I put it on this side, then it wouldn't have folded. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Wait, what's easier than
You're gonna have to fire the cameraman. She keeps making boom shadows.
It's okay. Yeah. This is on, my original teacher said to always use like the white duct tape because it covers all your seam lines and all that. I could not find white duct tape this close to Christmas. I'm assuring that people are using it for Christmas and Yule decorations. Really want to cover those lines. And this is mostly just for display purposes. The nice thing about making your own versus something you buy at the store is it's a lot cheaper and portable. So you could go to a craft event and be able to take it with you and just folds down real nicely. Oh, measurements are weird on this. Okay. If your measurements are weird, like for some reason this was a little wonky, but you know, Dollar Tree. And measuring pretty quick. Always make sure your backside is flush. Don't worry about your front because you're not going to see the front. So you want to make sure this back line here, that's where you're going to straight because this is going to come in and match up. And see, also the other reason for duct tape too is bring this around so the camera can see. As you see, there's little
That's
white
actually-
lighting.
Yeah, that's actually coming through really nicely.
Yeah. So if you had the duct tape in there, you don't have to worry about that if you're not putting a backdrop, which we are actually going to assemble a backdrop. So I'm going to take this here. This here. Wow, my measurements are completely off. Even though I did 20 by 20, they're all off. That's fun. Okay. Because I didn't make this completely in advance. I did part of it and then waited, so. It's okay, because this is just, we're throwing it together.
It's really good for you to show us examples of how we can save problems.
Yeah.
Yes. It's always actually better to have problems than for everything to go smoothly, because when we're making things at home, it does not go smoothly.
Yeah. Sometimes it's smooth for myself, sometimes it's not. I've had my pets destroy these multiple times, and because other than the lights, it's, you know, $6 or $7 to make the whole thing. It's not a big deal. And like I said, duct tape really helps with those seams. Use the white when you can.
Now, does the tape being shiny affect things at all?
Well, we'll see.
Okay.
Usually it shouldn't, because of the way we're gonna put the backdrop in.
Uh-huh.
Problem. So. I'm gonna throw my backdrop in before I put my roof on. So this is just your regular old poster board. And you don't want to put it up at the top. The reason why, actually you can put it at the top and then you have that flush background, but the things I'm going to be photographing today are very small. So it does me no good. And I really don't want to have this white line here. So I'm going to bring this down so it's flush down there with the end. Opened. Then. Because we're not going to see all the way up to the top. That's another reason why I wasn't worried really too much about the top, because all the items I'm photographing today are at the top. So you have to kind of keep that in mind. You're making a light box for the objects you're taking a photo of. if I was taking photographs of illuminations, I would make it long and kind of squat. So we would have better light on something that's very short. Whereas if I was doing ceramics that were very tall, I'd want a bigger, taller box, but not as wide. So now you see, now we have this nice clear, and I know that you can see it on Elsie and also on the laptop where it just blends in. Whoosh. And now we're gonna put the lid on it. Do-do-do-do. Here. And she put the lid on it. Yes, okay.
Kind of nice being able to see it at the different angles because one direction is very smooth and the other is not.
Right. Exactly. Tape decided to stick to itself. Technical difficulties.
As an aside, one of the things we were talking about in some of the messy arts meetings were how some of these hands-on stuff, it's really hard to get stuff filmed yourself if you don't have that second camera or a camera operator, or because the angles change so much.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you were saying if you were doing photography for illumination, it would be a very shallow box.
Exactly, something rectangular shaped, probably only maybe 5 or 6 inches.
Okay.
But it wouldn't have that, you would have a hole in the top versus having it all the way there because you want to shoot downwards
Okay.
versus shooting that way. Or if you wanted to prop it up somehow, that would be completely different. So you want to keep that in mind. It's like, what's the shape are you doing your photography on? You might not even need really even a lid for the illumination. You'd be illuminating it from both sides and then using your camera above. So then you would have 4 sides all the way around versus the open side.
Almost like if you flip this one on its back.
Yeah.
For doing illuminations.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a little obviously wonky because that one side was smaller. So we're just going to make it work. You want to make sure the ones on your top are strong. You don't want to just kind of put 3 pieces of tape. Go, okay, well, that's good. Because you're going to have your lamp on it and you don't want it to fall while you're in the middle of photographing something and have everything fall completely down on that wonderful object. It happens to be fragile. That would be sad. We don't want to be sad.
Happy little photographs.
Happy photographs, not sad ones. So I put a few just pieces of tape on as stabilizer and then going back and reinforce everywhere where I need to reinforce. And you
So
know,
that was basically testing it with the weight of the light.
yeah, that's the heavier light. I have a lighter light, which I was gonna use. Much lighter. And then I have a heavier light that's a lot more lumens. Because I wasn't sure if the cheapo little flashlights were gonna give me the light that I needed in the box. I of course could not find the hand lamp. So they make these little clamp lamps or desk lamps, like the Pixar desk lamp. You can get them usually pretty cheap on sale in September because that's when all the college students are moving in their dorms. You can get them at Target, Walmart, etc. for about $5 to $10, or you get them right after the dorm room sale on clearance. And then you pick up 3 to 4 of those. this could be the best light. And you want LED because you don't have a heat problem. Even though that's not really an issue nowadays, it was when I was going to photography school. The lamps would get overly hot and then your paper would go whoosh. Not good. I've never actually had my paper go whoosh. I've had things melt on me, however, so. Only about temperatures, but now LED lights is the way to go. And some things like lighting, you can fix also in post. You just want some lighting to get rid of some of the shadows. So now we have a box. Around. And then when I want to get rid of the box, store it for later, I just slice right along those lines and it'll collapse nice and flat. And then you can put your item in the box. Now, the nice thing about those little, I don't know what they're called, the arm lamps, Pixar lamps is what I call them, is that you can adjust where your light's gonna be at. But if you're like me, and I went to the Dollar Tree again, I got these little these things. They're a set of
Flashlights.
little flashlights. They're great. And they also have the advantage of having other colors. So if I wanted a different color inside there, I have that. So I'm jerry rigging some boxes, and this is really easy that anybody can do. Just take a box. Can you pull the box away for a second? Yeah. So we have this Amazon box, pull, throw your light in it. And this gives you the advantage. If you want to put a couple holes, you can put your light on the top, on the bottom. Where do you want your light source at? You want to pull it away, you want to put it up close. I'm just going to stick it there for right now, so I'm not seeing what's in there. And then we're going to take this other light here. Put that right above. That was pretty cool.
Awesome.
So there's your magic of the item.
Yeah, I'll move over here and that way you can line up the
lights, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of see what's going on there. And the idea that now this one's not so super bright. You're thinking, oh, a light box, you're gonna want it really bright. You actually don't. You want enough light that you're gonna be able to take a nice photo of it, but you're not gonna get glare. Let's see, I'll show you what it looks like with the other lumen. Ooh, that's right, blinded myself. There we go. And that just whoosh. And that gives you the nice shadow downwards. And then you can always add another like light from the front if you want. Highlight something very specific. And you could put like other items in there. And that's how you've created a light box. Woohoo! Woohoo!
Yay. That's awesome.
And then next in this chapter is how to use the light box. So you may think, oh, well, this is how I use it. You could just toss your items down like that.
Do you wanna take a pause and
We can do that.
before we move on to the next thing, where we'll have concrete videos? Okay, so Revna, do you wanna go ahead and stop this one and then we'll start the next?
Stopping
Okay.
now.